Good morning. Welcome to Pro Media live at 9 o'clock here. Thanks for joining us. It's Friday, April 4th. We're wrapping up the week, but the fireworks are still happening here today. Got China retaliating with additional tariffs against the U.S. in response to Liberation Day. We got a lot going on here today, but got a special guest I'm excited to introduce. We alluded to it yesterday. We'll bring him on later, but at first, we'll go to your markets, check in on where these markets are at, and then we'll roll through some headlines and introduce that special guest. So, Rick, take us to LaSalle Street. All right, May corn's down 5 1/4 here on Friday, 452 1/4. New crop D's corn's down 6 cents at 441 1/4. May beans down 32 cents at 979 1/2. New crop November beans 984 1/2, down 32 1/2 cents. Soy oil, we're down $2 on soy oil at 45.53. Soy meal's down 4.40 at 291. Chicago wheat's down 11 1/4 cents. KC wheat's down 13 1/4. New crop July KC wheat at 567 1/2. Looking over at your meat markets, feeders are bleeding weaker as well. Feeders are down 5 1/4 on the May contract, down $4 on the April, down 560 out in your deferreds in the October, November contracts. Live cattle are down 290 to 380 in June, 380 on August. It's brutal out there, guys. Lean hogs are down $1.80 to $2. Crude oil is down another 560 at 61.29. Is it too early to talk about crude going negative yet? No, we're not going there quite yet. Diesel's down 13 cents at 205. Nat gas is down 24 cents at 289. The Dow is down 1,000 points again, 39,745, down 2.5% today. S&P's down 155 points. The Nasdaq's down 500. Russell's down 80 points. Bitcoin, it's up 1,455 at 83,620, holding some ground there. Gold's weaker, 36 points, 3,061. Silver's down $1.62 an ounce at 30.34. U.S. dollar is stabilizing up 30 points at 102.09. The 2-year and the 10-year are positive. Cotton, we talked about it being May was down, limit down yesterday. May cotton's down another 330 at 61.49 on your cotton quotes. So escalation, it is hitting the fan, whatever it is, but it has hit the fan again and continued on here today. But on a positive note, we're going to start off with a couple headlines, and then we're going to bring in that special guest, Dr. Cruz. Again, thanks for joining us. Load up some questions. You got some questions about the trade war, the tariffs, South America. Load them up and fire them at us. We love the engagement here on Friday. But employment data, had Bureau of Labor statistics drop some employment data, took a back seat to everything else that's going on, the trade war, but the U.S. added 228,000 jobs versus 140,000 expected. Remember, this is past data, so it's not up to date, and we're going to see how it continues going forward. Healthcare, transportation, warehouse, those sectors added jobs. The Doge Fed government layoffs didn't quite hit this survey, but and partly due because employments paid on leave were counted as being employed in this data. So going to continue to watching this going forward over the coming months and see how all of this impacts things. That stuff goes into the Fed decisions. We got Jerome Powell speaking later today, and the market is going to be hanging on what he talks about regarding the tariff situation, the trade war situation, and what the heck they're going to do with rates going forward. They're kind of in a pickle. Can they cut? I don't know if they can. What if the trade war goes away tomorrow? Will they have to raise again if they cut? So a lot going on, dynamic situation, but we do have the Fed watch. And I like pulling up this graphic here because we had priced in 2 to 3 cuts, and we're shifting that over the last week. In the last few days, we've shifted that to 2 more additional cuts, looking at the between now and December. So we're currently in this 4 and 4.25, 4.5 range. And we got a number of estimates that are in the 3.25 to 350 or 300 to 3.25 area. So we've shifted lower on this Fed watch, anticipation of rate cuts that could come down the pipeline. So a lot happening in your markets, guys. We'll be interested to see what Powell says here later this morning. But the big headline is China retaliating, announcing additional tariffs, 34% tariffs on all imports from the U.S. starting April 10th. They didn't waste any time dropping this headline. It's the next day, and we're dropping the headline of more tariffs trade war, full engage. They also had some restrictions on rare earth materials, some stuff I've never heard of, but I slept through most of my science classes. So, given I'm not getting here, samarium, gadolinium, terbium. I don't know them all, but there's a list about 7 of them there that they've restricted. But I don't know. Posturing, it's negotiation season. Many are saying this action by China is a move to strengthen its position in future negotiations. But it continues to unfold here, and we'll see where the weekend goes, where the rest of the day goes. The markets are just taking a beating right now. It's ugly to see. Yeah, yeah. So if they handled them well the last 2 days, they sure as heck aren't handling them very well again on day 2, day 3. We hope it doesn't go any further. But with that, I talked about it yesterday, and I'm excited. Y'all know him if you've been on the premium side. We've had him on for a number of premium episodes. One of our popular demand guests to have on. Let's bring him into the show, Dr. Cruz.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Cruz.
I'm not sure if I'm that special anymore, right? Maybe the past, at some point in my life I was, but not anymore.
The premium episodes you've done are some of the best ones we've ever done. So
I'm
appreciate
glad
you.
to be here. I always enjoy talking to you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, we're live at 9, and we got some content to go through. So let's just cut to the chase here, Dr. Cruz. What do you think of? Let's start with tariffs and trade war stuff. You want to go there first, and then jump into some other things?
I think we have to go there, right? Either now or later. But yeah, that's the main topic. You're talking about prices. Everything is red on my screen here. It's amazing, like how hard this is hitting the market, especially what China just did. And I think we can expect more coming, Brady. Like I think Japan, China, they've been talking. Like South Korea,
Mm-hmm.
the European Union, they're going to come with some retaliation also. And what is Trump going to do back? He said that he's going to, okay, if you give me a 35% increase, I'm going to give you a 68% increase. So let's see how this fight is going to go forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting to follow. A lot of volatility in the market for all the commodities that we trade here at Advanced Trading. And we can bring up these slides now. We can talk about them.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up that last one for you. That work for you? Okay,
Yeah,
we'll start with
the
that
sequence
one.
doesn't matter. Like just an illustration of the tariffs that were announced by Trump 2 days ago. Now, like it's interesting. It's covering the whole world. I'm still trying to digest what that very thick book he showed us during his speech brings the way they calculated these tariffs. But one thing that is, of course, pops up now to our eyes here is the high tariffs. You can see they are mostly in Asia and parts of Africa. Hard to know the impact. They work somehow like homogeneous across some of the countries and some products, which is kind of hard to understand sometimes. But the thing is, let's assume that those countries that were affected the most with the highest tariffs, they're going to retaliate, and how that can affect us. So Asia, Southeast Asia is a main market, a big market for a lot of our agriculture exports.
Mm-hmm.
China is our main market for beans, for example. A lot of our corn goes to Asia, some to Africa. And if they retaliate, they're probably going to look for a different place to buy products if they're coming from the US at a very high price now. And competition is not hard to see. Who are the main competitors for those products? You have to turn our attention to South America.
Right.
So Brazil and Argentina. Brazil, especially Brazil for beans. Brazil is the largest exporter of beans, and in Argentina and Brazil are second and third largest exporter of corn. So there is a lot of competition. There is always Ukraine, but there is another issue going out there in the Black Sea. There is production issues in Ukraine. So South America could be a lot of competition, more competition coming from South America going forward, right? So it's hard to say, to estimate the impact. There's a lot of people are trying to bring up estimates of the consequences of this high tariffs of retaliation to our products. Mm-hmm. And we just have to wait and see. I think it's more a negotiation tool that other President Trump has, and other countries are also going to have when they bring everything to the table for negotiation, right?
Right. Yeah. So Brazil's sitting on a near record soybean crop today, right? But their
Right.
safrinha corn crop and their corn stocks are, pretty tight from that aspect. So it feels like near
Correct.
term, the risk to U.S. soybean demand. I mean, Brazil's the number one shop in town, and anybody that's going to go out there and price shop is going to go there first, or at least
Mhm.
look there first for beans. But from a corn perspective, isn't the U.S. At least near term or short term, we're sitting pretty good from a corn perspective as the number one shop in town. Is
Yeah,
that
you're right. Yeah, you're completely right. Uh, but the
at
main,
least? Go
so,
ahead.
so that again? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
But at least until June or July, right, when that
Yes.
safrinha corn crop comes online.
You 100% got that. Yeah, you got that very right. So now Brazil and Argentina is harvesting their corn crop, and Brazil is planting. They have just finished planting their second corn crop, which is going to be exported starting in probably late July, August, because they had a late start for their planting season this year. So that brings us a larger window of export opportunity here in the U.S. So if you need
Okay.
to buy corn, there's no other way to where to go. You have to come here to us, and we're going to be the main market through maybe 3-4 months at least when Brazil start exporting. But Brazil domestic demand is very hot.
Okay.
There is a lot of demand for feed consumption and ethanol use in Brazil. So I don't think Brazil is going to be a big competitor going forward, even if they have a good crop this year. So the corn market is going to be very interesting to follow.
That is interesting. So more domestic demand in Brazil, which a lot of their crop has typically just goes out the gate to the export channels. But okay,
Yeah.
way to good color commentary and things to think about. I think of that safrinha corn crop as relief to the global supply chain and coming in a big piece of the puzzle to come in. But how much of it will actually go out the door and fulfill global
Yes.
demand? So
Yeah, you're right.
interesting.
So now I think that the attention is going to be turned to Brazil to see how that safrinha crop is going to grow, right?
Hmm.
So it's very critical period for the safrinha crop now in April. I'm going to have a slide showing that later. And going forward, like you have to see also in Argentina, probably going to have a decent crop size in Argentina. I think problems are past in Argentina, but this chart is very interesting. It's going to show you how like 50% of the second corn crop in Brazil, the safrinha crop, is silking in April.
Okay.
So this is critical period for rains in central parts of Brazil because the dry season is starting now in that region. So they really need the rains. The rains are coming right now. Uh, being reading the news, talking to people there, checking the weather forecast. They're going to have good rains in the coming weeks, and they need that. They really need that.
When we over the last month, the last 6-7 weeks here, we started off slow with getting that crop in the ground, then we made up some ground very quickly and got
Mhm.
that crop in. But we made up ground because had kind of turned dry there for a few weeks, right? And I believe from what I've read, we're the 6 or 7 year driest start to that crop in 6 or 7 years there. So highlighting that importance of rains going forward as we go
Mhm.
into silking.
You're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're correct. And you see how like flat that red line that shows silking progress for
Yep.
second
Okay.
corn crop is very flat in the beginning. That's the reason they started very late,
Got.
planting
Okay.
very late. And they're probably gonna harvest very fast also, Brady. They planted in a very short window, and then harvest gonna occur in a very short window when they start harvesting. So that'll be interesting to see what's going to happen like late July, August when that safrinha crop comes to the market.
Interesting. All right. So looking at that graphic there, this week 15.5% silking versus last year 32.96% silking, and the 5-year average being right around 20% silking at this point.
Yeah,
Interesting. So
I was about to update this chart, but I didn't get the data yesterday. I'll
got.
try to send this to you next week so you can show this chart again.
Well, we'll just bring you back on and you can update us live again,
Anytime.
Dr.
I'll be
Cruz.
glad to come here again.
Yeah. All right. Got two more graphics here. We'll roll through, and then I think we'll save the rest of it for a premium content episode and get the
Yeah,
rest of it out to those guys. But let's talk about this one a little bit.
Sure. So this one shows long-term forecast anomaly for precipitation forecast for Brazil. This is from the Brazilian National Institute of Meteorology. They have like a monthly and quarterly forecast. I just combine everything, the quarterly a chart to show you how most of the safrinha corn production is around the central western part of Brazil, Mato Grosso, Goiás, if you're good with the geography from South America. You're going to see that most of that area is in gray, meaning that they're going to have near normal precipitation, which is dry. So they don't have much room for, like, if this is wrong, if they have less rain than expected, that can affect their yields. There are parts of Mato Grosso where they have, it's like in blue, light blue there, meaning above normal precipitation, but it's not like covering a lot of the area. I see more like yellows, oranges, maybe a little bit of orange in some areas. So that might be a concern for Mato Grosso do Sul, Paraná, South Brazil, where they produce a good portion of the second corn crop. But half of the second corn crop is produced in Mato Grosso, where you see
Okay.
those like light blue bars there.
We got all three colors in that region, don't we? We got the light
Yes.
blue, the gray, and a flick of the yellow as well.
Yeah.
That
So right now, what I can tell you is that conditions are good. They are kind of similar to what we saw last year. They're not great, but things are good now. But we are going to have to keep checking the weather in Brazil every single day to see how much rain those the main producing regions are going to get.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Well, it's nice to talk about something other than tariffs and trade on a Friday, especially after the week that we've had here. And we're going to be pivoting, regardless of what happens from a geopolitical and negotiation standpoint with these trades and tariffs. They're both they're important, but going forward, weather and production matter, and we've got two important corn crops that are in the ground and getting ready to go in the ground that could change the supply and demand picture going forward for globally across the world.
You're right. That's it. Yeah, we're going to have to keep watching what's happening in Brazil and Argentina, and when and how they're going to start exporting corn. They probably going to take some of our market here, but again, domestic demand is very strong in Brazil. The export market in Brazil is going to be competing with feed production, feed and ethanol production in Brazil.
Interesting. Good stuff. All right. Well, before we get out of here, I got a tweet of the week for you. We'll blast this up. And this is looking back. This isn't really tweet of the week, Dr. Cruz. This is maybe tweet of the month here. So Donald J. Trump, back in March 3rd on Truth Social, to the great farmers of the United States, get ready to start making a lot of ag products to be sold inside of the U.S. Tariffs will go on external product on April 2nd. Have fun. So we're back to having fun, and I guess my question out there is this is just aged. I don't know how it's aged, but here we are, April 4th. We've survived the April 2nd. Maybe you could call it that. But my question is, are we having fun yet? I don't know.
Well, depends. If you see the chart look like a roller coaster, right? So if you'll have fun with that, it's fun, right? So it was, I just March 3rd, like a month ago yesterday. I think people are having fun if you're following the market, right? There is a lot of volatility, meaning that you have to trust your risk advisor to help you with that. We don't know where this is going to end. This is the only certain that we have. Market is very uncertain, and we only know this is going to be, if you call that fun for the next at least couple weeks.
Well said. The only thing certain is that it's going to be uncertain going forward. Definitely.
You're right.
All right. Well, we got a comment here from Luke. Let's pull that in. I don't know if I can answer it, but we'll at least read it off. Luke, in light of recent trade news, price action, and potential MFP payments, does ARC or PLC have a better advantage over the other? Still a few days to make a choice. Dr. Cruz, do you have any insight or thoughts on this?
I don't. Me neither.
Okay. PLC is more price related, I believe, and I think it may be more attractive with, like to Luke's alluding there, with the recent price action that we have. But the ARC piece, I believe, has been more popular over the past few years. I don't know. This gets out of my wheelhouse very quickly. So I'm sorry, Luke. I can't answer it. I don't know. But appreciate the question, appreciate the engagement, and appreciate everyone for joining us Dr. Cruz is a frequent guest on premium content with ATI. We invite you to be a premium subscriber. We thank you for joining us today. Let's see how these markets settle up. We'll do a weekend recap and see if we can get Dr. Cruz to film a premium with us here later on to get you through the weekend. So, all right, with that, I'm going to click the button and get out of here. You have any last words, last thoughts, Dr. Cruz?
I don't know. Just keep watching the market and then try to hedge. Trust your risk advisor and talk to people. And we really don't know if someone is telling that they know what's going to happen. I don't think that's going to be true because we really don't know what's going to happen in the market.
Nobody knows. All right. With that, we'll see y'all next week. Thanks for joining me, Dr. Cruz. We'll see you.
Thank you. Bye.